Does somebody want to know if this ever ends? You know, seeing me face to face, if I ever had to get on TV and I had to see different faces, I'd have to close my eyes. Because everybody's going to ask me what I don't want to hear. Not true. I used to not like when anybody told me. But I don't want anybody to tell me anything because I know what I have to know. If you're coming to tell me something, I'm ready to hear. But if you're coming to tell me something I don't want to hear, why are you telling me what to do when it's my thoughts? Just comment on it. Don't tell me what to do, comment, and that's why the comments are there, because it's a commentary of the cemetery. Because one Terry and the other Terry are the Terrys together. Whether one is alive and one is dead, his name is still Terry, the crossroads of the E-man, of the two R's. Both capitals are the small, to show you that there are two, and one that goes around, and the other one that bumps into two stops. The dead end. The Y is the Y in all the roads. If you look at it properly, that I can see it. Part of the scissors. You see? If we split it, you see? The scissors closes. So I was telling you about the scissors. Now what I wanted to tell you is gambling is not right because it changes everything. But, or bet, bet. I bet my son. I didn't bet God's son. I bet my son because he's my son. He's part of what I made him to be by everything I said to him, and the little fish that came out of me that swam into his mother, that poked her and prodded her, that turned around in circles. My son isn't mixed up, but that's okay. So I bet my son $5 that I'll find the answer to man before he will. So therefore, when I bet my son, S-O-N, he is bright and I am bright. That would be the S-U-N, and another connection between the snake that goes up and the N of the man who is down. The snake will never make it up, as long as you know. So I bet him a fin, which is a $5 bill. And if everybody is fin, which is in French, then everybody would be fine. And fin is nice. So it's nice to be fin, but you can't take your money into heaven. But you can take a reminder, which is the $5 bill, because it's a little bit of paper. And it's a 5. But then if you bring something into heaven, everybody's going to understand the difference, so you got to bring 2 5s because they reflect each other. Do you know, when you take 2 S's together, you've got 1 S, okay, or a 5, and then you have the other S. Again, we always come back when things are perfect and goes around. That 5 goes to an 8. So therefore, the 5 that I bet my son turns into an 8. 8 and 5 is 13. We weren't trying to get there, but that's okay. Because now I want to talk about carry. Because everything carries on. Drew carry. He drew it and he carried it in his mind. So he put it on paper so all man can see. But this Drew Carey went to Hollywood, where his voice did all the acting, so he needed no pen. Or Drew Barrymore, where she drew the barrier reef. She wanted more, but she put something up to stop it because she didn't want to lose what was inside of it because it was so beautiful. The barrier, or the Barry, drew more. Barry drew more. Drew Barrymore. But she didn't draw anything either. It was all in the mind, and she acted it out, and we went to see her. And she's beautiful, and she's a nice girl. Because if I can make it up and do it frontward as I did backwards, and if it works out, then they're nice. But the names that turn out the other way, I will know the difference. So what we're talking about is, since we have a carryover, or a carry-on baggage, we can't carry on everything. Because when you ride home in the jet plane, or in the Starship Enterprise, or in the 4 aces that carry you, you can't bring any money unless you're safe and quiet and good. So to bring the money, this is the way it goes. You see, I bet my son, the sun is bright and it keeps me warm. It's a fin. A $5 bill is a fin, F-I-N. So if you put a little dash on the top or in the middle of the 5, it'll look like an F, and around it looks like the hook, because part of life is good, and if you stay fin, that hook will never pick you or point you. Now you have the 5 in the reflection. 5 and 5 are 10. So when you go to the store, which is the variety store, to pick up something, you go to the 5 and dime, because the 5 of a reflection is a dime of all. Therefore, you have the reflection of the 10. And the 10 value of 10 and 10 is perfect. 5 and 5 is perfect. Yet, when you're perfect, you have to start over again because there's nowhere else to go. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you go on vacation, that's the point. And when you get there, you stay there. You go around the area, but you always come back to the hotel. Hostess. The ho of everything. And we know 3 and 2 is a 5. And 3 days after the War of 22 would be man and the angel and God. 22 and 3 is 25. The reason for all the 12s and 25 is December 25th. And that's the day Christ was born. And the reason for his birth is because I calculated everything to work out that way, because it happened before. So since it's before, I can work it all backwards. So if you work it all backwards and then you work it forward, you should be able to end up doing the same thing from a different direction. And if you go all around like the 8, you can meet in the middle of the two differences. And that would be meeting like this. You see, when you go around the circles, eventually you can meet. You got to hook them together. It is hook, line, and sinker. So if you don't sinker and you don't get synced, you're out of sync. So therefore, you need the two worlds. But then again, you need them to hold them together with the jack. And the way to hold the two worlds together with the jack goes like this. This is, I show you one side. Those are the pair of glasses where it goes across the nose and over to the other side, but it's sideways. As you see it like this, it's upside down, so we put it like this. Where is that? Where is that? You see that? Right there. Hold on a second. Where am I? Okay, right here. You see, you put the jack back there. The jack is the other end of the glasses, and it's easier to see when you're a little bit blinded. So if you put the jack, which is not black, between the two balls, which looks like the 8, but they're not dark at all, because you have to put a lens so you can see better, because your eyes are a little dark, and we're bright, and we're white man, so everything should be clear, yet they're not. So we put on the glasses, and it is the jack, and it is a reflection of the jack that makes up the two sides that hang around your ears, in front of your eyes, above your nose, because you know everything, you don't have to see what you know, and your mouth, who says everything it hears and sees. So therefore the position of the glasses are in the right place, and the way they got there of the two worlds, holding on with the man of jack of clubs, or trade. Don't ever trade the jack trading post. The jack is some sort of post. So if you lean up on the post and you hold the post up, or if the post falls down, you come down with it. So watch out what post you lean on, because the lean of everything is what the government will take from you if they put a lien on you. Like a lean-to, the lien of the two is you owe them. And until you pay them, the lien will be a crush. And it'll be like a storm. It'll be the orange crush for the orage, which is the thunder and the lightning of the crush, because of the lien, because you didn't pay the sum of this and some of that. But in life, in the E-world, the sum is money. And the sum of money seems to be the love of money. But the love and the sum and all together is not good. It causes disaster. Disaster. Although 10 is whole and complete, the aster is the after of disaster. So it's after to stir everybody up. That is the ass of the sassy of her, which is the woman up above, because in order to connect, since we are man, not that we are women, and it doesn't matter what's in our pants, the male part is at the bottom for us, and the female is at the top. Because we always want the female on top. Because it always feels better, and that's what we want. Well, that's what we have, because it's a match made in heaven, where the female is always on top of you. But she's telling you nothing, and you make your own move, and she's still there. So you must be happy, because you're getting screwed. We always get screwed. It's great. But if you screw too much, you dig the hole deep in the ground there, and you're buried in it. So you're buried in your lies. You lied to your lover. Therefore, you were screwed by her. And she put you away with your own mind, because you lied to her. So she terrorized you with your own mind of the own things you did. And she threw back the shit you threw at her, and made her live while you were there. And it's your fault. Now you live with all your shit. And the shit stinks, and you don't want to be there, and you don't want to put up with it, but you're paying the collection agency now for the alimony. Alimony. Allah? Don't you know Allah, the God? The Allah God, of what everybody's saying. Allah! All the money. All of the money. Allah! That's who Allah is. He is a God, but he's the God of money. And honey is sweet, and it rhymes with money, and we must make all man's mind sweet. So let's get rid of what is not sweet. So the Allah, or allo, to money, it's goodbye. Oh my God, it's like Hitler, high five, because I said goodbye to what caused all the trouble. The time I raised my hand to 5, as you know, 5 is in the center of what the 9 of man is. When Hitler did it, he knocked all men down. So the 5 that was in the center, that was good for both parts, is no longer good. And when you raise your hand, because you want to know something better, because it's polite to raise your hand, high five. Do you see what's happening? High five, FF, off. Off the world, OFF. In this world, when you high five and you reverse it from the reflection of the worst man and he high fives you, you are OFF, off. Because 2 5s are 10, and we all know 10 starts over. So it's not so bad to stick your hand in the air, because every time you wave at somebody, they wave back. Thus your 5 and their 5 make 10. 10 is perfect. So when you do find the friend and you wave to each other, you're perfect friends. But it depends how you talk to each other, because that's the other connection. Don't forget, when you're connected, you have to be fully connected or you're not connected totally. And the thing to transmit a message, you either have the 10 digits for the perfect of everything, and that's why they changed the phone, and that's why the originality came with the 3 numbers of the strikes and the 4 numbers with the ball, and the strikes were more important, so they put them first in the telephone number, and the balls, once they happened, you walked, so they showed you the first 3 numbers. And they showed you the last 4. But because the last 4 were better than the first 3, they were still last and they were better. But isn't first better and should be first? But they were last and they were second. And 1 and 1 is 2. But if you divide 2, it's 1, and you're all alone here, and that's why you're I. So you're not me. Because you're not me at all. Because the ME is me, the M is the sigma, is the attachment to the E world, and the M is one of the better attachments, because if you look in the M, it becomes the wolf or the fox. Either one, wolf or fox. One is cunning, one has sharp teeth. So one is sharp, the other is cunning. Sharp and cunning. That's why we have to be like the animals on the earth, because if they're free to roam wherever they go, and they're always in danger because they have nothing over their head, the only thing they have is 1 and 4, because most of them have 4 legs, something to stand on. Therefore, the best man had to be like an animal, and he had to have 4 legs, except he used 2 legs. Up here, which he had 10, and then he used 2 legs, which were here, were 10. You know what I'm saying? Because the monkey see, the monkey do. So if they saw the feet walking, the hands wanted to walk with the feet. So therefore, they walked together, the hands and the feet. And when we do that together, we can jump in the ocean and stay on the top of the water or the situation. Because when you move your hands and your feet together, if you curve them like the jack and you put it in the water, you are pulling yourself forward and you are swimming. Do you know what the swimming is all about? Because it starts with an S. You know, there's some kind of danger, so we must have some kind of protection. But for now, the protection we have that goes over our head, that's in our pants. So we don't send the virus out to the female connection up above. Therefore, when they do get the story, it'll all be clear. No virus. That's why the connection is so important. That's why the condom is so good, because it's the condom of all. It's a .com of all, because it's the coming of man that dots first before he comes, because God has to have the last word. So he dotted it when he ended it on the 6th day, and at the end he put come, C-O-M. And the come is what you need on this world to screw the round ball of the world, and the cum becomes inside the egg of the world that comes out of the ground, and you have a baby. And we all know that any bee is a restoration of life, because bees prod and poke. They stick their ass in one end, they stick their nose in the other. They got both points. And since they're using both points, it's okay. Sometimes it's good to use both points, because although they are picking and it hurts, at the same time they are feeding you, like the mother and the titty, like the little titty that fits into the hole of the mouth of the baby to feed them the purity of the milk. Because of the baby, the 2 E's of man, E and E, because it's a reflection like the 2 B's, so we have to be more cautious with the baby, because he's not yet a man, he's a child. Child, but he's not a girl. And he's not chive, and he's not got no chives. He's got nothing to do with chives. He's a L-D. The L that he stands up, and the D that when he was born, the D, the little D went around, and it goes up. But I think at birth, he's a big D, because the minute he goes straight up, he comes around again, because he doesn't know any better, so he comes back home. So I think we're born as big eyes and big Ds. We have big eyes, and when we're close to wisdom, we learned all the big things in life. Therefore, we go for the little things in life, because it's all okay. Because when we're young, we want to know all the big things, and we want to go everything, and we want everything. So that's all the big coincidence. Con, to con somebody, of sense. Coincidence. Vowel, or vowels of marriage. So if you have the cons, or if it's dense, and you can't get through the forest, because there's too much hair on the pussy, and you know the pussy is a cat, and it has a tail, but on this one the tail is in her head. So if she doesn't tell you the truth and you get screwed, you get a virus, and the aid you get is AIDS, but it doesn't help, it kills you.